I can't believe it's been almost 23 years. So if you've been around for a while, you probably remember exactly where you were and what you were doing on 9/11/2001. It was a day that obviously changed the world, especially for a lot of Americans, for all of us, honestly. This is a great little sign as a reminder for not only you, but maybe next generations. It's been 23 years now. I think it's time we really reflect on the way we felt after 9/11, the way the whole country came together. We were all Americans. It didn't matter what you believed or where you were politically. We were all Americans and we were proud to be Americans. This little sign will help people remember what being an American is all about. So everything we use today is over on the website makeawoodsign.com. We're using the template of the month for September 2024 and our 2-inch Bookman font, along with the router bits, the base plates. Everything we're using is in the links below, and it's over at the website makeawoodsign.com. Go check it out, see if you need something. Let's get started.
This is a piece of 3/4 inch blue pine that we got from Home Depot. Now, one thing you want to make sure to do before you lay out your sign is pick which side looks best and which side's going to lay out best. Now, this is a pretty small sign. It's only about 6 inches by 18 inches. Now, when I lived in California, I probably would have charged between $30 and $40 for something like this. Down here in Arizona, maybe 25 bucks. So it just kind of depends on your pricing, where you're at, and what the economy looks like where you're at. Now, laying this out was super easy. The main thing you got to remember is your spacing. You want even space top and bottom, and even space left to right. The best way for top and bottom that we've found is to use a little adjustable square, and once you have the same spacing, you're good to go. Then all you got to do is make your lines. Now, Dad's lifting the board up on these bench cookies, which, by the way, if you guys have never used these, they really come in handy. They're just little spacers that you can set stuff on. And he's doing that so he can put the little spring clamp on the template and spray the primer. The template has a little tiny bit of a bow to it, so when you get that flat on the board, it gives you a nice clean line. The first bit Dad's using is the carving liner at 1/8 of an inch deep. Now, he's using that for the letters on the template. These things are only about 1/2 inch tall, so that means that they have really fine lines. You might be able to get away with this with using a new profile bit, but I think even that would probably be a little bit too fat. You'd be able to get the lines in there, but they wouldn't be deep enough, and you might end up sanding them out. So the carving liner is really the best way to go when doing these little letters, or really any little letters like this. This is a great example of how the base plate that Dad and Grandpa designed really helps out. Notice how much flesh Dad has on the board and on the table. Without a base plate like this, you could still definitely carve, but man, it would make it a lot harder. Plus, your hands would be way closer to the bit, and this little bit, man, it'll take your finger off in no time. The next bit Dad's using is the profile bit at 3/16 of an inch deep. Now, we recently did a blog. We started doing blogs on the website, and I started off with the 3 bits you need most. And those are the profile bit, the 60-degree bit, and the 90-degree bit. And those 3 bits will do probably 70-75% of all the carving you need. As I was writing the blog, I started thinking about how many signs I've done where I haven't used a profile bit, and I can't think of one. This is by far the most versatile bit we have, and this is the one we use on pretty much every single sign. So here Dad is carving this inset, so he's going to get his initial profile done. Now, I forgot to record the fact that once he did this, which only took like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, he actually went back at 1/4 of an inch deep, which he's doing here, but he went inside the carving of the Twin Towers and actually made that line a little bit bigger so he can go back in with a 90-degree bit. Now, because he's doing these numbers outset, you got to remember that you don't have to get your initial line super close to your carving. You can work your way in, and you'll see that here. Dad goes back around the same line several times. Also, one other thing that I forgot to record because we have a new camera and I'm kind of just starting to learn it, he made the little dots in between the dates, and he made sure to draw those in before he started carving. For me personally, if the line isn't on the board, I have kind of a difficult time not only remembering to carve it, but also just kind of freehanding it. Once I get a line on the board, then I can pretty much carve whatever I want to carve or whatever I need to carve. But without that on the board, man, I just am not creative enough to do it freehand. Some of you guys are. I know there's some carvers out there that, man, you could just freehand anything. That's not me. So I always make sure to get what I'm carving on the board first. Now he's putting in the 90-degree bit at 1/4 of an inch deep. He's going to go inside, he's going to carve out the rest of the twin tower template because that's going to be inset. Now you'll notice there's a couple areas that are really tight, so he doesn't sink the bit all the way down, like right there. He actually just kind of takes off the top, because if he sinks that bit down, he might hit the edge and gouge the edge of the carving. For the cloud around the date, this is one exception to the whole freehand thing. So I really like how Dad does his. He just makes it look really nice and really symmetrical. When you first start out, that can be kind of difficult, so I suggest draw the line first. But after a while, you kind of get an idea of what exactly you're looking for. So now that Dad has the cloud, he's going to go in and he's going to take out all of the wood in there. So this is a good instance of the template is inset and the letters or the numbers are outset. Now we have the 45-degree chamfer bit. And what Dad's going to do is he's going to put a small chamfer on the back, and then he's going to actually scallop the edge of the front. So this is a lot easier than you would think when you look at the sign. Basically, he's just going in and he's making little divots all the way around the sign. Now, you're going to have some that are maybe a little bit farther away from the corners, that are a little bit closer to the corners. It's not going to be 100% symmetrical, but that's okay. You want to make sure that you sand off those corners and sand off the edge, because those corners can get real sharp when you're doing your scallop. And the last thing you want is to hand somebody their sign and they get a splinter, or I don't know, they turn and they smack their kid in the head with it, and then you got a lawsuit on your hands. It can just be a mess. So make sure you sand it and get everything smooth. Now Dad's going to spray it with the primer. Now we use primer, but you can also use flat or matte spray, as long as you don't use gloss, semi-gloss, or satin. But the primer sands off a lot easier, it dries a lot faster, and it doesn't clog up your sanding belts or your sanding discs near as much as paint does. So Dad's going to start off with the 80 grit disc and then finish up with a 120, making sure that he blows off all of the black sawdust in between those steps. Otherwise you could end up grinding black back into your sign, and that just makes a mess. Once it's all sanded and sprayed off, then we put a few coats of clear on it. I love the way this blue pine looks with clear on it. It just makes that blue pop, and it really, really looks nice.
So there it is, guys. I love the way this came out. So you have a lot of different variations. You can do these numbers. You could do them inset. You could do them outset. I like outset a little bit better. I have about 20 minutes in this, but if you were batching them out, you could probably get 4 in an hour once you kind of get into the process. And at 25 bucks a piece, that's not a bad side gig. So thanks for watching, guys. Everything that we used today is over on the website. There will be links in the description below. Go check them out. That's how we fund our business. So if you guys could head over to makeawoodsign.com, see what you need. We sure appreciate it. I hope you like this. We'll see you on the next one. Love you. Bye-bye.